Thank you, Briana, for giving me opportunity to talk with you and accepting to talk with me.
Likewise, likewise. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to chat with you.
So I've gone through your profile. I came to know that you're a writer, poetess, and short story writer.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up a little bit now.
Yeah, I came to know that you are an author, writer, poetess, and short story writer.
Yes, that's correct. I work on novels, poems, and short stories.
So I thought to introduce you to my audience and tell the work that you are doing to my audience and to the world who's watching and listening to me on social media.
Got it, got it. Well, I am unpublished so far. I am working on two dystopian sci-fi novels, and those are really my two main projects. I'm hoping to be traditionally published once I finish those projects. And in the meantime, I freelance during the day. So even in my day job, I'm doing some writing, and I get to work with clients from all over the world, writing social media posts and writing blog posts. So no matter what time of the day it is, I'm always writing something.
So you are into writing from how many years?
So I have been doing fiction writing my whole life. I have been writing stories since I was very young, but professional writing, I've been doing that for about 3 or 4 years now, um, since I was in college.
So you like fiction?
I do. I think that that's where my writing is the best.
So what is the purpose of you writing something?
Um, I want something to leave behind. Writing is something that I've always been passionate about, and it's something that I feel like I have to do. I always have a story inside me that needs to be told. I'm at my happiest when I'm writing, and it's something almost like a legacy to leave behind as well.
You choose the one of the communicating medium. What are one of the important communicating medium to send the information and the feelings, emotions, and the imagination of yours. So how do you feel and how good you are in it?
I think I'm quite skilled in it. I when I was in college, I studied literature. I majored in English. I went on to get my master's in writing. So I've definitely done a lot of studying with it, and I'm always reading in my free time as well. So I'm always looking to get better, improve my work.
So you said you didn't publish anything yet. So what you are writing now, which is not published.
So right now I'm working on two different sci-fi novels. Those are my two main projects. I also have a few smaller short stories in the works that I'm hoping I can publish in a collection.
You also said you are a poetess.
Oh yes, I have done some poetry as well. That was more when I was in my graduate program. I do a bit of poetry as well. I don't think I have enough put together to do a collection just yet. I think the novels and the short stories are where I need to stay right now.
Awesome. So what is writing to you?
Um, to me, writing is something that people are called to do. I think everyone has a different story to tell, whether it's an autobiography telling their life story or a fiction story that can connect with other people. I think writing to me is just finding a way to connect with people and helping people connect with each other.
So what was the first thing that you wrote?
Oh, I have been writing my whole life. I would say the first thing I wrote was probably a tiny one-page story on an old computer in the 90s, I have been writing since I was a very little girl.
So what is the response that you get for your communication skills?
So I've gotten pretty good feedback. I've shown my fiction work to friends and family and professors and classmates, and overall, I've gotten pretty good feedback over the years. They have said that my dialogue is strong and that, the worlds that I create are rather unique. And on the professional side, clients have said that my writing has helped their websites and their social media platforms. So overall, I've gotten pretty good feedback on my work.
So what genres that you write and what you like?
The genres that I like to write the most, I stick mostly with sci-fi, fantasy, and realistic fiction, slice of life, things of that nature. Um, Typically, I stick with young adult fiction, so stories that are meant for teenagers and people in their 20s and older. I don't really go younger than that.
So what do you think that helps you in connecting with people with the vocabulary that you have in your collection?
So I do a lot of reading, so I'm always expanding my vocabulary and always um, learning new ways to say things. I think reading a lot of fiction is a great way to improve my fiction writing. You're exposed to all these different writers with their own unique styles. They all have their own way of telling their stories and getting their point across to the reader. So I think reading has been the number one way that I've been improving my vocabulary.
So your readers, what do they say after reading your collection of words? What do they feel after listening or seeing your imagination um, in the form of written format?
Um, Honestly, usually sad. I tend to write very passionate stories, and a lot of the times, I like to put a lot of emotion in my stories. I don't give my characters an easy life because that doesn't tell a good story when everyone has it easy. And it's not realistic. No one has a perfectly easy life. So a lot of my stories have characters with hardships, and usually the ending is not ready. So when my readers are reading what I'm writing, they don't know what happens next. So a lot of the time they have this feeling of a cliffhanger and anxiety, a little sad. They want to know what happens next to see if everything turns out okay.
So, as a passionate writer, are you able to put the feelings and emotion, thoughts, ideas of yours, and the imagination of yours without showing your face, without showing your facial expressions? Do you have those words which will create impact on the reader or the people who are reading your uh, collection for the first time?
Yeah, I think so. I think whether it's someone who's reading it, like classmates, I've had them reading my pieces multiple times. It'll go through several edits, so they'll see how the work changes. And of course, I've had people that would read my pieces just one time and give me their opinions. And I think no matter who reads it, they're still able to get that emotion. I'm able to convey that to them. Not to toot my own horn, but I think that no matter who is reading or how many times they've read it, they're still able to get the emotion that I'm trying to get across. I highlight human connection a lot in my pieces. My main characters usually have very close families or someone that they need to protect or take care of. So there's a lot of love and human passion that I think I can get across to the reader.
Tell me, you as a reader.
As a reader, I will read anything really. With my writing, I do branch out, but I stick mostly with just a few genres. But with reading, I will read anything. I will read realistic fiction. I will read nonfiction. I will read, um, high fantasy, sci-fi. I really branch out with what I read: horror, mystery. Um, there's really nothing that I won't read.
So without seeing a person, you are able to understand the imagination of that person just by reading his or her book. So what do you think? What do you think? How as a do you think everything, even the reality, non-fictional books also are fictional books because you are not able to see the person, you're just seeing the work that he or she did.
That's an interesting question. I guess in a way you are right because in a nonfiction book, the writer has to decide what goes in and what doesn't, and you have to trust that their memory is correct and that nothing is being embellished or exaggerated. So I guess in a way, there's always a bit of fiction even in an autobiography. That's an interesting way of looking at it.
So what do you think that works to create impact on the reader?
What was that?
What do you think that works to create impact on the reader?
I think what really impacts a reader is having a story with emotion, even if unless it's like a dry textbook that has to like just give information. A book needs to, connect with the person, tell a story, whether you're telling the story of a real person or it's someone telling their own story or it's a fiction story with made up characters. I think the main thing is you need characters that you can connect with. Either you like them or they're charismatic. So even if you don't really like them, you like seeing what they have to say. They have stories that you can connect with. I think being able to just really get that passion and human connection to the reader is what's most important.
So uh, writing to express your thoughts is uh, is one way of writing, and writing uh, to impress somebody with a collection of words that you have is different. So which one you like, and which one do you think that creates more impact?
Um, I think both could honestly have the same level of impact. And I think everyone does a bit of both, to be quite honest. I think everybody writes for themselves, but they also write for other people. Um, because people who don't want to write are not going to put in the work to finish a book on their own. They may think they want to write, but if they're not passionate about it, they're not going to finish the project. But someone who does finish the project, most of the time they want other people to see it. They want that recognition, they want that connection. I think the famous mystery writer Agatha Christie, she once wrote that an artist does not create work to not have an audience or something like that. So I think everybody writes both for themselves and for other people. I think it's both.
So without having audience, without having any uh, connectivity with the people, because I'm sure in your experience you might have seen writers who are who was the beginners before, so who now they are like very famous writers too, but there was a before there was a beginner. So what do you think? Uh, what was their mindset when they are putting their first step forward?
For writers that made it big, I really think that they were excited to take those first few steps. I think most people dream of making their living off their writing. I know I definitely do. Um, So I think that's a feeling of excitement, being able to share their work with so many people and tell so many people their story. I think that's very exciting. Not only the potential of making writing their full-time job, but also accomplishing that dream of sharing their story with more people.
So writing, why writing? Why not speaking?
Um, I think it's for a lot of people, I think it's easier to organize your thoughts when you're writing. Even if it's a fiction piece, there's a lot more planning that goes into what you're writing. When you say something, you say it and it's out there and it's there forever, especially if it's being recorded. But when you write something, you can write it out and then you can change it and make it better and clarify it. Um, Sometimes when you speak, you don't say what you mean in a clear way. People have trouble understanding you. With writing, you can fix it so that people will always understand what you're trying to say. When it's written down, it's forever. People can go back to it 100 years from now and see what you were thinking and what you were trying to say. Even if it was a fiction story, I think people are still able to share their thoughts and their feelings through the characters and through the story they tell.
How much time you take to explain your short story or your poem or as a writer when you're telling a story as a fictional story? How much time you take?
I try not to spend too much time in my stories explaining everything to the reader. I try to show what I'm trying to say to the reader. So, family is something that's very important to me. So, in all of my stories, the families are very close. They love each other very much. So, instead of telling the reader this family is close, I show it. The family is always helping each other in the story. They eat every meal together. They help each other when one is in trouble. I try more to show what's going on and not so much tell what's happening.
So, do you have any experiences that you cannot forget about writing?
I think college was a pretty unforgettable experience. It was a lot of work. That was a very hard 4 years. It was just nonstop work, nonstop studying. So I think that was pretty unforgettable because since I majored in English, most of my classes were focused on literature and writing and things like that. So I was always working not only on my own personal projects, but on the professors' projects too. So I had many stories going on at the same time. It was very good for my creativity. I was able to grow a lot as a writer, and I walked away with many ideas that I'm still expanding on now, and some I have on the back burner that maybe I'll pick up again in a few years. So I think that was my most unforgettable writing experience.
So, in different countries, English is uh, different. So, they are writing. There are a lot of authors from different US, UK, uh, Canada, India, Asia,
Hmm.
Europe. So, what do you think? Do you read all the books from all the countries? And what do you say about the way they are expressing? Do you what is the difference that you observe in people from different authors from different countries and the way they are expressing and the words that they are using to create uh, their point?
Right, definitely. I read books from all over the world. I really like English and French literature the most if I'm not reading something American. Um, the main thing that I've noticed is not so much the dialogue, the way that English is spoken, because there are some differences in the way that English is spoken. There's slang that's different, and some of the terms that they use are different. But the main difference that I notice is the culture within the stories. English characters tend to be less loud than American characters. They're there's a little bit more of a professionalism to some of their characters. In French literature, there is more passion there, and I mean more classic works. I read a lot of the classics, so maybe what I'm saying is a bit outdated, but I do notice the way the characters act is a little different because they're going to act in line with their country's culture. That's what sticks out the most to me.
So you said you started writing long back. So what is the difference that you are observing when you started writing on the day one, and what to the person you as a writer to you today?
So I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is that I can expand on my ideas more. 10 years ago, I didn't think I'd do anything longer than a short story. It was hard for me to make a story longer than 20 pages. And then I challenged myself to write a novel, which I did. So I think the biggest thing has been that I've been able to expand my ideas more, spend more time building the world and expanding the story instead of rushing from beginning to end. That was a big thing I used to do when I was younger. I would rush through the story, and it would never end up longer than just a few pages. So now I've been able to create a full book with many characters and, a big complex world with its own technology. I think that's been the biggest change, making it longer.
So how good you are as a person when it comes to change?
In general, I think I handle change pretty well. I'm constantly looking to improve as a person, not just, with my writing, but personality wise, trying to become more mindful, become more patient, which I think has improved my writing as well. Being a more patient person, I'm able to stick with a project for much longer and expand upon it the way it needs to be expanded upon. So I think I handle change very well.
Tell me how this writing helped you as a human being.
So I think the way writing has helped me the most is just it's given me a way to express myself. I think pretty much everyone needs a way to express themselves. Some people, create art, some people create music, some people, have things that they build. Everyone has a way to get out what's inside. So I think writing has helped me a lot in that capacity. And I don't do it much, but poetry is a good way for me to get raw emotions onto paper. It's a way for me to really get out extremely strong emotions that I can't put into a story quite well. Are, some things need to be poems. So I think that's been a great way for me to express myself.
So where this motivation is coming from? Who is your inspiration? What is driving you?
Oh, that's a kind of a hard question. I don't know. I just feel the need inside of me to write. There's very old Polaroids of me as a toddler, with a book and a pen. It's just something that I've always felt the need to do. It's something that I've always had inside of me. I would definitely say my loved ones, are a big motivator. I want to make my family proud and make the people that I love in my life proud. Have this legacy to leave behind, but quite honestly, I think primarily I write for me. It's something that I want to do and love to do.
Is there any particular place where you sit and put your imagination using the words that you have?
Anywhere where I sit particularly, I can write pretty much anywhere. I've written, in a noisy library. I've written, between classes. I've written, between client calls. Now that I work freelance, I write, at midnight, early in the morning, at home, at a relative's house. I can write pretty much anywhere so long as the inspiration is with me.
Do you limit yourself when it comes to writing?
Um, I wouldn't say I limit myself. I really let my imagination go where it wants to go. I've written in quite a few genres. Now I've narrowed it down to two or three genres that I write in. But, when I was younger, I was really branching out and experimenting with different types of writing to see what worked. I tried horror for a while. I thought about mystery. I've really allowed my mind to go where it needs to go to tell the story. I don't see the point in censoring myself.
So, what is the difference that you personally can observe uh, between you as speaker and you as writer?
There's a big difference. Me as a writer, I'm very articulate. I have a lot of time to think over what I'm going to say and plan out what I'm going to say. So me as a writer, I'm more articulate, I'm more clear. And me as a speaker, I'm a pretty good speaker too. I've gotten better over the years. I used to trip over my words a lot. Um, but I definitely have to plan out what I'm going to say in advance, especially if I'm giving a presentation or I'm pitching to a client. I really have to think about what I'm going to say. And a lot of the times I do write it down anyway, and I read off of that.
So, I'm sure in your experience, you might have read a lot and wrote a lot, used a lot of words uh, uh, from your collection. Right? So, what do you think before you, there was a lot of books published, uh, hundreds of years, thousands of years. There are a lot of books that human is trying to convey or trying to communicate still with the book and with the words, with the writing. They are still able to feel the emotion that they felt at that particular point or that particular situation, or uh, or just reading the story that they are, or just reading the imagination that they felt. So going back from now to hundreds of years or thousands of years as a writer, so how this communicating medium, this writing, is creating impact on human beings, and the books and the authors like you, how you people are creating impact on this planet.
I think the way that writers impact the planet is, like you say, by communicating and conveying emotion. Human society is constantly changing. The world is very different from how it was 10 years ago, and it was very different from how it was 100 years ago. I think there's always going to be a need to tell stories because the world is always changing. What I write now, even if it doesn't take place in the present day, it's still a product of this time of 2021. So people, in the future will be able to see how people acted in that time, what emotions people felt in that time. Because how do I explain it? I feel like even if you're writing a story that is fantasy or sci-fi that is not grounded in the real world, you're still injecting emotions from that time period. Like for now, we're living in the middle of a pandemic, so that feeling of instability and fear is something. So even though my story doesn't have a has affected my writing and the emotions in my writing, and I think that will come through even in future when future generations read it. So I think going backwards, writers in the past have been able to convey those emotions and a product of their time to future generations, if that makes sense. I told you I was a better writer than a speaker.
What was the last observation or the response or the feedback uh, for the last emotion that you expressed with the skill that you have called writing?
The last emotion I personally experienced when I was writing was probably satisfaction, just being able to get more words on paper, being able to organize more thoughts and make progress with my story. I always feel very satisfied and happy when I'm finished with a writing session.
So you collect words from different books and try to put in a certain form in order to create your imagination.
I would say so. You always pull from what you read. I Right now, I don't think I could give a list of people that have inspired me, but I know that everything that I've read has influenced what I write. Everything I've read has taught me how to be a better writer and how to tell a better story.
So telling a story and trying to tell what exactly that you feel, and your regular readers, what do they say? Do they say that what exactly you are saying we are able to connect without seeing the facial expressions of yours?
I would say that people that I've had read my drafts, that they've been able to connect with characters, they've been able to draw the conclusions that I wanted them to draw, get the emotions that I was trying to get them to feel. Yeah, I think readers have been able to get what I'm trying to say.
Do you have anything to say to my audience and to the world?
Um, Try writing. It's a good way to express yourself and organize your thoughts. I think everyone should try writing in some way.
Awesome. So at last, as a writer, so what do you say about my questioning about this conversation?
I really liked it. It was a really good way for me to examine what writing means to me and why I still do it. It's something that I've done my whole life, and I know that I've had writer friends over the years that have not been able to continue writing because of jobs or children or things like that. So I'm glad that I had this opportunity to think about why I have fought so hard to keep doing it.
Amazing. So what do you say about as a writer, as a person who expresses uh, thoughts without showing the physical appearance? So what do you say about me talking with different country people and trying to project them on my platform? So, have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube?
I have. I think your podcast, I think it's a great way to connect with people. That's kind of what writing is all about, too, connecting with people. So, in a way, you're doing the exact same thing that writing does, which is connecting with people from all over the world. And, you're sharing thoughts and feelings and trying to communicate and convey emotions to an audience. It's exactly what writing accomplishes. I like it.
Do you have anything that you want to share? Any web links, any social media links of yours with my audience in order to connect with you and see the work that you are doing?
Absolutely. I'm active on Twitter mostly with my writing. So my handle is Briana H Writes, so Briana, the letter H, and then the word Writes, Writes. I love to connect with writers and readers on there. Yeah, I would love to connect with your audience.
So send me your links. I'll put in the description of this video. People who find the video on YouTube can see the work that you're doing and can connect with you and can follow you.
Sounds good. I'll be sure to do that.
So thank you, Brianna, for giving me your valuable time and spending your valuable experience and giving answers to my questions. If you publish any books of yours, or if you do something, if you put something outside uh, your work, just tell me. I'll try to tell your work to my audience as well.
Thank you so much, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview with you. This was very nice.
Keep going, keep doing what you love, and keep writing, keep write until the day people say that you are real while writing.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
I
Bye-bye.
can hear you. So one thing I forgot. Can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And also, can I put this video and audio clip on my podcast, social media, internet, uh, everywhere, my website, everywhere with your permission?
Yeah, 100% anywhere.
So yeah, that's what I want your permission to put it, to publish it.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, you've got it.
Okay, yeah. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I
Bye-bye.
can hear you. So one thing I forgot. Can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And also, can I put this video and audio clip on my podcast, social media, internet, uh, everywhere, my website, everywhere with your permission?
Yeah, 100% anywhere.
So yeah, that's what I want your permission to put it, to publish it.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, you've got it.
Okay, yeah. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.